teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of sun. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of prime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of signs, smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar signs. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get Rob in here. Let's get him in here. Come on in, Rob. It's the water's warm here. It's a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. Welcome in. As we have, well, I'm DJ. That's Quinn. That's CJ. That's Rob. And that's Donnie Riccatelli. We call him D-Ricks for short. And we are the Ysn Power Rangers, so to speak, on this Tuesday edition of the Power Hour. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to put this out there for your listening and viewing pleasure. The people that come up with the celebrate every day and the calendar for this, I swear to you that they take a vacation early on Thanksgiving week, because your options are National Taiwan On Day, National Sardines Day, or National Jukebox Day. Not juice box, Siege, as I read before. Jukebox. So, with that being said, National Taiwan On Day, I think that's tomorrow. Usually the biggest party night of the year is the night before Thanksgiving. National Sardines Day, no thank you. And National Jukebox Day, let's rock the jukebox, boys. You have one song to pick on the jukebox to get that place, wherever you're at, electrified and rowdy or hate your guts. Rob, you're going to lead us off. What are we putting on the jukebox?
I guess it depends on who's in the room. I used to piss a lot of old dudes off with the most gangster ass rap in La Villa on purpose. I'm going to say, if we're getting ready to do the room jump, we're going to get everybody involved too. All right. So everybody's just going to get the build up and get the build up and get the build up. And when Phil Collins starts rocking those drums, everybody in the room just got to get up to just go crazy. So that's going to have the party jumping. To piss them off, I'm just going to go ahead and put Baby Shark on loop.
Little Baby Shark. I like it. D-Ricks, what do you got?
I mean, how do you not go with a little Don't Stop Believin'? I mean, there's something crazy like that. Or I would... rap-wise, I'd go with a little Insane in the Brain, a little Cypress Hill. That would be pretty sick to get people going. A little House of Pain, maybe jump around. Just depends on how big the Buckeyes are up on the Michigan Wolverines next week or this Saturday. So we'll see.
I like it. CJ, what do you got?
Well, in a Pittsburgh bar, Renegade, once that starts playing, that place will light up.
I like it. So if you're making people mad at a Pittsburgh bar, what are you playing?
I don't know. What do they play in Cleveland?
Nothing.
Yeah, there you go.
Quinn, what about you?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't been to a place with a jukebox other than that stupid little touch tunes, and I hate those things because of Jeff. If I'm gonna play something, I mean, I'm just all about irritating people with that stuff. So like, it depends on who's with me. Probably if Rob was there, some Nickelback, just because I love it. And I miss Rob. I haven't seen Rob in a while.
I was going to say the same thing.
If I'm gonna get to play something to get people going, I don't know. Depends.
Quinn, do you have a favorite Nickelback tune that you'd like to dedicate to Rob?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know a single Nickelback song. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I like my hands around your neck. What was that song? I thought I was threatening the mayor, and then it turns out I'm serenading him.
Yep. You're courting the mayor of East Palestine with Nickelback.
Oh my God.
Favorite Disease, I think, is that the name of that song, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, if I'm getting the party hopping, I'm going to go with... man, you stole my Renegade. You stole my Renegade, Siege. I'm going to go with... dang. Do I go with Gangster's Paradise? Do I go with it? I mean, everybody does one of these when that song comes on. It doesn't matter how old you are. Naturally, Styx is always good. Journey's good. D-Rix as well. If I'm trying to clear that place out, Cotton Eye Joe comes on, I'm out. Like, check please, I'm out. See you later. Bye-bye. Cotton Eye Joe. Anytime I'm at a wedding and I hear it, I just go, dear God, are you serious? Who requests this song? Who requests Cotton Eye Joe at a wedding?
I guarantee you that whoever does that, they're the whitest person you'll ever meet in your life every single time.
And they're out on the dance floor getting down, right? They got the elbows going.
There's one dance. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be at that wedding.
They're just kicking it back and forth. The chicken dance also makes my skin crawl. Just I
about the
don't like it. What is it?
The Macarena.
Oh,
that's
listen.
cool.
That was the height of all of my importance in 5th grade, the Macarena. Hey, let's get down with it. It is National Jukebox Day. So if you're out and about on this Tuesday night, make sure you rock the jukebox and, rock it for a little bit and then clear out the room. Let's get some new blood in there. So enjoy National Jukebox Day. Rob, it is time for the Would You Rather, brought to you by our friends over at Baird Brothers Fine Hard Woods. Take it away.
Good luck with this one, because I'm still I'm at a stalemate. I don't know what to do. Would you rather have a permanent unibrow or no eyebrows at all?
Unibrow. Dude, no eyebrows at all is the freakiest thing ever because you look like an alien.
But the unibrow, I mean,
dude made $1 zillion off a unibrow.
Yeah, but that's one case. There's 1,000 billion people in the history of the world, and one dude got paid because of unibrow. One. He's a freak of nature.
Because he's the only guy that didn't trim it.
Oh.
Think about that.
I mean,
he made a brand off of this.
No unibrow. I mean, I just picture me being by myself for the rest of my life.
You'd look surprised all the time with no eyebrows, man. It's just...
Like I said, good luck.
Let's go Quinn lead this one off.
Probably the unibrow. I can't imagine having no eyebrows. I feel like I'm ugly enough as it is. Okay. No eyebrows just look awful.
All right. CJ? I don't think he can hear us. Can you hear me, CJ?
I think you froze up.
I think he got a phone call.
Oh, that's the worst.
D-Rix.
Man, I don't know. The unibrow, does it come with the alfalfa thing in the back too? Look a dork.
That's a good question. I probably would grow one myself just to do it, but
do it. I guess I'd have to go unibrow. Although Ryan Shazier, he rocks that no eyebrow thing pretty good. So
yeah, what's that condition called?
I'm not sure, but
alopecia.
230
yeah, that's
pounds.
what it is.
muscle to pull that no eyebrow stuff off.
Yeah, I got no hair on my head. If I have no eyebrows, I got big problems, boys.
You got issues.
I got big problems because that means there's no hair all the way down to my beard. Then what do you do? Like one of those glue jobs? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. CJ, which one are you taking?
The unibrow thing freaks me out, man. I don't I don't know. I think I would go no eyebrows and probably just paint them on or something, because I know people that do that anyways, and it looks weird, but not terrible, I guess you would say.
Don't mess up, man.
Yeah,
like don't have your phone go off whenever you're drawing those eyebrows on, because otherwise you're
that's right,
stunned. Oh, here we go. A little extra, a little EB today.
What's going on?
Holy crap!
I know.
All right, EB, straight out of the gates. Would you rather have a unibrow?
Unibrow. Let me trademark it. Let me go Anthony Davis. Just give me the coaching unibrow and make it extra bushy.
Extra bushy unibrow. I like it. All right, guys. Today we have one major topic we're going to discuss, and that is straight up why this area, this valley, Eastern Ohio, Northeast Ohio, whatever you want to call it, Mahoning Valley, is the epicenter for sports in this country. So a couple things that led me to this topic was, if you look around right now, just in the Tri-County area, you look around and you see the bunker going in, you see sports everything, it's either sports or weather in this area, and I heavily think that it's a 75-25 split with sports to weather. So from that standpoint, why is it so important in this valley to have sports be how we identify ourselves outside of being, the Steel Valley or anything like that? Why is it so important to have sports at the epicenter of what we do here in Youngstown? Quinn, you want to start us off?
No, I got to think of an answer.
Donnie, I know you got it.
Yeah, I mean it's a way of life here. I mean you have to understand, like, if you just talk about football alone, it would be so hard just to cut it down to a 53-man roster in the NFL with the amount of athletes that came through this area, and then you throw the coaching tree on top of that with the likes of the Stoops of the world and all the ties to Youngstown, and I don't know, it's just something that I think everybody has looked forward to. I mean, even growing up, it was always, hey, we're gonna go to the football game, we're gonna go to the basketball game, baseball. It's a way of life in this area, and I think it just goes hand in hand with the cookie table at the wedding, or the Italian wedding soup, whatever it is. It's a way of life here, and I think that what's so unique about us is we do root for our other communities when we are out of it too. Unless it's a staunch rival or something that you don't really care for, you're rooting for that home team. Like, case in point, last year when Springfield was making their run, every Saturday morning I'm at Bob Evans with a group of guys, and that whole entire football team would come in. And this is in Boardman now, not New Middletown. They'd come in and they would go over the loudspeaker and say, "Hey, everybody, Springfield's at it again. Wish them luck." I mean, everybody in that room was rooting them on. So it's a Youngstown thing. It's a Mahoning Valley thing. And again, it's just something that you have to, I don't know, you just embrace it. You embrace it and you have fun with it, and it's awesome. And I've said this time and time again. When back in the day in my high school years, we would have that Saturday morning wrap up or whatever on WFMJ. We never had coverage like this. Like, if this was going on in the 90s, if you existed prior to the 90s and you came up with this, oh my God. I mean, there's so many other people that would have so many more opportunities. And I can't thank you guys enough for what you're doing for our valley. That's for sure.
I hate to break it to you, buddy, but you're part of us now. So you're welcome, I guess. Welcome to the team. It's one of those things. I mean, honestly, sports is so big in everybody's life. It's a huge part of what we do. But here it's just different. When you go to a different state and you talk about sports with the passion that you talk about sports, yeah, they talk about their professional teams. Nobody talks about Springfield and Ursuline and JFK and South Range and West. They don't talk about it the way we talk about it here. EB, why is it so important, high school and youth sports in our area?
I mean, dude, I've been trying to think of this, and I used to live in Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach is kind of like a melting pot of a lot of, I guess, Midwestern states now. And I always used to tell people, I was like, I don't care what people say. People from Northeast Ohio are some of the toughest people that you'll ever meet. And probably the two biggest reasons are we all have a chip on our shoulder and we work extremely hard for what we have. And I'll take that to my grave. And, Donnie kind of touched on this and everything. Like, if you look at the teams just football wise in it now, like, you can't tell me one of those teams don't have a chip on your shoulder. Like Springfield has 2 chips on their shoulder from the past 2 years. And Ursuline being pretty prominent, program that they are, they haven't been there in a couple of years. So there's their chip on their shoulder. And, everyone in Northeast Ohio, their parents or however you got here have worked extremely hard to, get where they're at. And I think that just trickles down to the kids. And we value, what we can do on the court, on the field, and we take pride in it. We don't necessarily look at what we do sports wise as an entitlement. Like, it's a lot of times you see it as, our kids' outlet, or, they've always been overlooked, or they've always had to hear about, teams or players from Cleveland or Columbus or Pittsburgh or wherever. So we've always had like that, we call it Grit City, but even more so than that, like we have a chip on our shoulder, and it just drives us. And you take it all the way back to the steel mills, man. Look, those people are busting their ass day in, day out, and to give their kids opportunity and go and kind of pass that down, genetically and through morals and family, just to go work and go strive to be something other than just average.
I'm interested because I think when you go back 30 years, right, and the majority of us, that's kind of our bread and butter. I know Donnie's a little bit older, Rob's a little bit older than us, but not like generations older. It's a situation where you go, was sports the way out of here when it wasn't so good to be in Youngstown? And not that it's improved dramatically and drastically, but it's still not like one of those situations where, this isn't Pleasantville all the time necessarily. Was sports the way out of here for some of these families and some of these kids? Anybody could answer. I don't care.
I don't think so. I mean, I never thought people that came from Northeastern Ohio was, looking to get out via a sport. I think the majority of them just became pretty good at what they were doing. But going back to what we were talking about, where does this all come from? And the first thing I was thinking of was what EB touched on was, you're talking about the Steel Valley. We're talking about generations of men and women that just busted their asses around here and were instilled with such a work ethic. And regardless of them closing down for the most part, and a lot of jobs leaving and things like that, one thing about this general area is people recognize Youngstown in general. I've been in Cleveland. I've been in New York. People know the city, and it's got a reputation. But like, if you even think about, let's say, football, you got. I'm going to say, in my opinion, the only other area that could really come really close to Northeastern Ohio is probably Texas. Mm-hmm. I think California and Florida, they have become almost like a ground for some of the best players in the country to go to get to college. New York, somewhat. Western Pennsylvania, they're just as, I wouldn't say just as tough, just because I'm not from Western Pennsylvania, but Northeastern Ohio has that reputation. And so now it's not just high school football. High school football is already big, but now you're talking about, I'm seeing, now that my stepdaughter's playing volleyball, I'm seeing all that. I'm seeing these girls come in and do their thing. I'm seeing girls basketball, golf. I mean, you name it. And the thing is too, the kids coming up now, we had they had the reputation that automatically wanted to be called lazy because all they do is sit in front of the screen. That's not all of them. There's a lot of good kids out there that, us as parents, not all of us, but, a decent amount, instilled that same kind of work ethic and said, hey, man, here's what's going to happen. You can have anything you want, but if you don't work your ass off for it, it's not going to come to you. You're not going to get it handed to you. You got to get out there and put the work in to be successful. And I think that is almost a mantra of Northeastern Ohio itself. We're not giving everything. I mean, we're struggling. This is one of the poorest places in the country to live, and we're making the best of it and hopefully transitioning that into the kids coming up so they can do the same thing with their kids.
It's funny. There's some guy that once said, nothing is given, everything is earned in Northeast Ohio. Put a pause on that real quick because I got this as you were talking, Rob. Hope everyone is doing good and happy early Thanksgiving. My wife just had a baby. All right, Jeff. Congratulations. Next time, lead off with that part. Like, we're happy that you're excited and want us to be doing well, but you just had a kid, man. Congratulations.
Is this his first one?
I don't know. We'll have to ask him.
Congratulations, because you're never going to sleep right again. So,
Farrell is legit at football. Interestingly enough, Rob, you mentioned Western Pennsylvania in that nice little kind of enwrapped rant. We have a guy from Western Pennsylvania in CJ. CJ, what's the difference? You've been over here long enough to see the differences. What's the difference between Western PA and Northeastern Ohio?
There's not really a whole lot different, I would say. I think for the most part, both areas are very, tight-knit. The communities are close. The football teams, as far as football goes, are pretty good.
And internet's about the same, both.
Well played. Quinn, from your standpoint, why is it so important here for sports?
I mean, it's a way of life, I think. Like, I listened to, like, my dad talk about it, and, like, when he was growing up and stuff, like, Boardman was always a legitimate place for football with him. And then, when YSU was doing well, like, everybody just loves it. And our area just kind of thrives on that positivity that sports brings us. And, I mean, we've had tough times, obviously, being in Youngstown and stuff like that, but, like, sports has always been one of those avenues that has always been consistently great for us to be happy with, whether it is college or high school or, sadly, the pros with the Browns and the Steelers. Like, it's just always been something that we're always kind of leaning on.
Okay. Wow. That was deep for you, Quinn. I'm proud of you right there. Well played. CJ, you want to give this another shot?
Sorry, the internet keeps cutting out for some reason for me. But what I was saying was both areas, they're close together. So generally, there's a lot of similarities between the two, obviously. As far as, football goes and sports, just the kids are hard-nosed, and they get that from their parents, who get that from their parents. Just the steel industry around here, the kind of the hard-nosed, gritty aspect that's given us has shifted in different ways, and part of that, I think, has gone into sports. It's always been a sports area. We have two big cities that we get to look at. Detroit's close, and some other cities are close. But as far as high school sports goes, the two areas, Western PA and Youngstown, Eastern Ohio, are very similar in that aspect. This is a very good area for sports. It's very competitive and it's close knit, and that's the important thing, I think. And I think there was a comment that Sigler made, as the towns begin to get smaller, because as the communities become smaller, they get closer together and they get more tight knit, and people will go to Friday night football games. They'll go to soccer matches that they wouldn't have gone to maybe 30 years ago. They're just more invested in their town than I think they might have been you know, if they had been around in the 70s, 60s, something like that.
So I guess, and that's a great point by you, Sigler, by everybody, really. When you think about it nowadays, does it act as a launching pad for the rest of your life, whether it's in sports and business and whatever it may be? Does sports act like a launching pad for success and teach you a little bit about successes and failures over that time? Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, I think 100%. And I think the perfect example of that is let's rewind about 10, 12 years in Kelly the Ghost Pavlik. I mean, one of my best friends to this day, the entire, you want to talk about the whole entire valley absolutely rallying behind somebody when he's knocking out Jermaine Taylor. I mean, like this guy today, like he has so many different business ventures because of what he was able to do in a boxing ring. And he's doing really, really well for himself behind the scenes, that a lot of people don't realize that he's doing. But you learn a lot about your character. You learn a lot about yourself and your self-discipline. And I think that only makes you that much more of a professional when you do have some humility and you do have some tough times. How do you rise from those? And I think that a perfect person to that is Kelly Pavlik. I mean, he may still be out in the public eye as a knucklehead sometimes, but he's still behind the scenes doing some really awesome work business wise.
I think one of the coolest things about talking to Kelly off the record, right, when you're just sitting there in his gym and you discuss kind of life, is the thing that he told me that was so impressive. And I hope I'm not treading over anything that I shouldn't be, but I think it's common sense if you really think about it. When we were out making all our mistakes as young men and that's what we do, is we just mess up all the time, in that 18 to 22, really 18 to 25. That's why they don't let us use a rental car till we're 25. He was putting in the work. You know what I mean? He was in the gym. And, when he, you called it knucklehead, and I couldn't agree more with some of the stuff he did. And he'll tell you the same. He had the spotlight. He had financial, accountability. He had some extra money to play around with. And he did some stuff. He did some dumb stuff that we would never have the chance to do. But we would have done it when we were 18 to 25. And that's when he was really stacking the foundation for his success. And so he got to make mistakes a little bit later. And unfortunately, because he was in that eye, Donnie, I think you'll agree with me, he got more flack because of it. And it's fair, but it's not, if that makes sense. And I think that's another thing that sports does, is sports gives you almost a celebrityism, if that's a word, of yourself. We saw LeBron James, what he's done with his celebrity status, and a lot of these athletes, what they do with their celebrity status. They can do a lot of good with it, or they could do a lot of damage with it, depending on what day it is sometimes and what side of the fence they're on a subject. Do you think that's pressure for today's student athlete to be a celebrity in their hometown and make a mistake that gets magnified umpteen times because of who they are and what they do and what they mean to that particular town? EB?
Dude, there's a sense of humility in all of that. Like, if you're going to put in the work and you want that, there's if you're that good, whether it's natural, you worked for it or whatever it is, like it kind of comes with the territory, whether it's at a local level, regional level, state level, national level, whatever it is, it kind of goes hand in hand. You're held to a higher standard, and that's kind of what sports teaches too, is it teaches you your successes, it teaches you your lessons. I know Coach Calipari says this a lot. We kind of echo it a lot too. You have your wins and you have your lessons, and whether it's an individual athlete or a team or just someone held at a higher standard, you're always going to have a sense of lesson to get where you're at, whether it's a screwing up because you're being a knucklehead, whether it's, you made a bad choice or whatever it is, sports is always going to give you, a piece of humble pie when you deserve it, and it's definitely going to teach you that you're human too. You know, there's always going to be that humility inside of, you know, the sports arena, and that's how it works. You know, that's why you see a lot of these guys, you know, professionally or not, you know, whether it's to save face or not, you know, they make a mistake and they turn around, and generally they're, you know, they have the means to donate to it, or they show up or something. A lot of times it's probably just a PR stunt, but hopefully they're pulling from it like, hey, you know, this is where I screwed up, whether it's a small, you know, even if it's a small piece that sticks with them. I hope it just makes them realize that, like, you know, what you're doing is you have it a lot better than a lot of people, because there's a million people I'd like to be in those shoes. So it's just one of those things that, you know, sometimes the lessons are hard to learn, but you definitely, they can be very humbling too. And that's what you take on when you want to be that type of athlete or someone of that stature.
We got to take a 2-minute break. Before we get there, I got to shout out my guy Jeff again. Happy congratulations, your firstborn. As Rob said, good luck getting sleep the rest of the way. But also throwing New Wilmington under the bus a little bit. I'm wearing the Westminster hoodie. You're gonna sit there and say that it's nothing but horse crap on the roads? Come on, man! Come on, man! There's plenty of stuff to do in New Wilmington as long as you want to pay $40,000 a year to go to school.
Clean up horse crap.
Yeah, you could clean up horse crap. That's one way to do it. Or, you know, you can be, well, we'll leave that there. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 18 seconds with more about the student athlete and the pressures that come with being a student athlete in Northeast Ohio right after this on the Power Hour.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the YSN Power Hour, the Tuesday edition, where we're talking about the pressures that come with being a student athlete. I don't want to leave out coaches. We have a few coaches on this panel as well. There's some pressures that come with being a coach, especially nowadays. What are some of those pressures, Quinn? I mean, you're a coach right now. What are some of the pressures that you've got to deal with on a regular basis that people may not understand?
I think just day-to-day activities is something that, you know, causes pressure. I mean, you want to bring your best so that you can get the best out of your kids every day at practice and stuff like that. You know, you don't ever want to have an off day. and just the day-to-day grind of, keeping it interesting for the kids to stay interested in what you're doing is always difficult. I mean, right now, it's November 23rd, so it's still early in the season, but you start getting into the dog days of basketball with like the mid-January sort of thing for boys, where it's kind of just a grind. Keeping them interested in stuff and keeping them moving forward and progressing and getting better each day can be something challenging, I guess, especially if, you're not playing as well as you want to be or something like that. It can cause problems.
Has it been more challenging with the more distractions that are out there right now? I mean, you look at, these constant people are training for different sports during their what should be their isolated season of basketball or baseball or football or volleyball or whatever it may be. I feel like there's more distractions now than ever to be a well-rounded athlete all year round, as opposed to being a focused athlete for different portions of the season. Would you agree?
I think so. I think that just kind of depends on where you're at too. Like if you're all on board and all on the same page with, your other coaches in the school and stuff like that, at the high school level, it makes it go smoother and it helps that transition. And, you work together to build the best product and program in all sports,
Donnie, you were nodding your head. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the whole reason why you want to talk about pressure with coaches is some coaches think that their pressure is winning, and really it should be about you're teaching young adults to do something and be better in life. And with all the individualization happening now, and I noticed it this season with a lot of the girls basketball teams. They are so low in numbers, and because girls want to go to JO volleyball, and the basketball coach might say, no, we don't want you there. Or they might be a softball player, and that the softball coach says, well, they need to be hitting on Wednesday nights. The multi-sport athlete is being completely disregarded anymore. And, as a coach, you have to look at growth in your program. You can't necessarily look at wins. I mean, wins are like EB said, Calipari said, it's wins or lessons. And you have to see how your team's going to grow. You can't worry about wins, especially when the season's just kicking off. You have to worry about how are you going to grow. And that would be the pressure to me as a coach is how am I going to grow my program? How am I going to grow my kids to be better adults, moving forward?
Accountability is always a key in everything we do. You know what I mean? From life to sports to whatever you do. Rob, what kind of accountability and expectations should we be placing on coaches of kids that are 13 through 18 years old?
I think a lot of it too depends on the program, the area, the school. Is that school set up to win? Is that coach going to show up, and is he or she expected to win out of the gates? And if they don't, I mean, you do see this more in college now than you do in high school. You have these coaches show up and they're supposed to be the second coming, and all of a sudden they're not doing anything and they're gone. They're set up for failure. I think with high school, it's just a little bit more lenience in that regard. And me personally, I look at a coach this way, and you guys have already touched on it. And like we were even saying yesterday, when I used to coach years ago, I wasn't going to win. I didn't have the kids. I had 12 kids playing football, so I had no backups. I already knew I was going to win. And I told the parents, I said, listen, here's the deal. I said, you can say whatever you want. I said, if you get too loud during practice, I'm going to walk my ass up to you, hand you my whistle, and you go get those boys respect in 10 minutes, and I'll shut up. I won't say a word. You take over the practice. We're not going to win games this year. My objective is to make your kid better at playing football than he was when he first showed up. If he could keep this going, that's all I care about. And everybody was pretty receptive for the most part. So in high school, same thing. It just depends on that coach. I've seen, and I'm not about to start naming names or anything like that, God forbid. I've seen horrible coaching to where I know it's bad because it's not just me. I mean, you got a stand full of people just don't know what's going on. You had coaches. I mean, think about it too. It's not exactly easy to coach high school kids anymore. You're dealing with social media aspects left and right, personalities left. I mean, multiple sport athletes, different agendas, different goals, and you have to literally think about a football coach alone. He has to lump 30, 50, 60 personalities, and know all these kids' names and what they want to do and where they should be at and everything like that. Job, if somebody doesn't understand what they're doing, that's all they're doing. I mean, just think about how hard that is in general. So I look at it this way. If you're a coach, and it doesn't matter if it's for high school football, again, girls volleyball, I look at how the kids are acting during the game. Like if you could tell if the kids are disciplined, things like that. I've seen issues with volleyball games where I'm just like, as soon as I see a kid do something, I automatically want to blame the coach, which is like everybody else. But everybody else is totally forgetting what these coaches have on their plates. So I look at it that way. They're busy enough. I got to try and give them some of the benefit of the doubt. And, good luck, man, because it is not easy dealing with, your own kids. Now deal with 50 of them. So
Jeff's got a rough life down here, guys, playing NCAA Dynasty mode, and they fired him after he went 11-2. He won the Fiesta Bowl with Texas. He thought he did a good job, but obviously they didn't feel the same way. All those digital characters on NCAA Dynasty. So, sorry, Jeff. It's kind of one of those roller coaster days for you, it sounds like.
Sure, Max School will pick him up. He'll be fine.
Nick says, as a golfer and a marching band member myself, the feeling of seeing your community get behind you and really invest themselves drives me personally forward. Never want to let my community down. I love hearing that stuff. To your point, Rob, it brings up another question is most people, especially the younger, the student athletes, right? If you're 13 years old or 14 years old as a freshman, you're looking at these coaches like they are a finished version, right? They have all the wisdom that you need to possess in that whistle somewhere. And I think, and I'm going to direct it to CJ, coaching nowadays is never a final destination. It's a constant journey, and you have to keep learning and learning and learning. To your point, Rob, you've got kids that are shifting out, shifting in every single year that you need to make familiar to their hopes, their dreams, their ambitions, and things of that nature. And it's also a little bit of a salesman's job now as a coach to sell people to go and buy into your program. CJ, you're a coach. Do you have to do any of that stuff? Do you feel like you constantly have to learn and re-educate yourself on an annual basis?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to learn who your players are. And as with each passing year, you're getting a new class coming in. Seniors leaving, you know those kids. Now it's time to learn new kids. It's in that regard, it's very challenging because you don't know necessarily who you get, and you have to learn a bunch of new personalities. A lot of times, I have a certain coaching style that I basically keep, but some people don't receive that well, and it takes a little bit more convincing to get them, onto the boat. I tend to be a little bit more direct and assertive, and this is kind of how I want things done. And if they don't like to do that, then we figure it out. And that's the important thing, is just being able to be flexible. I have my coaching style, but I have to be flexible enough to be able to get all 16 kids on varsity invested and on the same page. The other important thing, I think, for coaches, communication today is the most important thing that you can do besides, calling plays or calling pitches or bunts or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Communication is so key, because parents today they want to know what's going on with their kids' programs and exactly what their kids are doing. And you can either accept it or you can find yourself fired within 3 years because parents go to school boards and want you gone. Communication is so key, whether it's a group email or, we use a messaging app. Just getting everybody on the same page. It either works or you're gone in 3 years. It's just the way it is.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, to me, winning is, everybody talks about these participation trophies and how troublesome it is for coaches, because when you're trying to push your players, they don't care because they're going to get something anyway, right? The problem is there's also that other crowd that winning is everything, and it doesn't matter what stakes it is. They're going to stack teams at the 5, believe it or not, to the 12-year-old level. They're going to stack teams for 7 years, and there's going to be a group of winners, and there's going to be 7, 8, 20 groups of losers that Chris is talking about the participation. When you lose for that long at that young of an age, and the expectations are, we could win a few here and there, but you're always going uphill. It's a troubling thing for a coach and a parent to keep kids interested in participating in a sport that you're always a loser. You can only go on for so long getting your head beat in before you're like, this isn't fun anymore. And there's that group in the middle, right, that suffers, the middle class, so to speak, that suffers from all of that, because you got the participation trophies here, you got the group that win at all costs here, and you got the people that you need here in the middle, and I would argue that's 80% of the kids that you need for a successful program later on. EB, from your standpoint, what can you do as a coach to implement those 80% and keep them at least invested so that 40% of them stay and are part of your program for the final 4 years of their high school career?
Man, I mean, you pretty much described like my AAU life to a T. I don't know what the perfect answer is. I think most importantly, you have to reiterate fun. They're playing a sport for a reason. Obviously, it's because they like this sport, but they also have fun. So, you throw in fun, and then you gotta start to stack some things under it. You have to let them have fun, but also as a coach, you have to show them how to compete. And then in order to show them how to compete, you have to show them how to work to get to that point. Whether it's working on basic skills, whether it's, just you have to find the little successes that they're really, really good at. And, I actually, when I was in middle school, and I actually kind of send this message to a couple of my players now too, we'll take basketball because Sigler talked about that, and I tell a lot of players, or at least my players now, like, you don't have to be the best scorer, and that's what gets the light, shined on you the brightest. I go, but if you play good defense and set good screens for me, you'll play a lot. If you value the basketball and you're not the best shooter, but you don't turn it over, and you have to start to like marginalize it down for them even more, because a lot of times, especially in youth sports, people are too caught up in the big picture. Like, I'll be the first one to tell people in youth sports, I go, no one gives a crap if you won 90 championships in 6th grade. I sat there, it was a couple years ago. I don't even know what school it was, but they had T-shirts made, 106 wins and 3 losses and 3 years and yada, yada, yada. And I looked at them, and now like these kids are in high school and half of them aren't playing. There you go. Like
found him. We found him.
Yeah. Half of them aren't playing, and the team's average, because really it's the ones who are having the most fun. Like, the ones who got driven so much to make this super team actually broke up because they got tired of it. Like, they weren't having fun. They just became workhorses. So, but it's the ones who sat there and were working with, the coaches or the people who were making it competitive and having fun and giving them small successes that actually stuck it out. And so you kind of have to break it down, and you really strip it to, like 3, 4, 5 different things, instead of getting away from the big picture. That's where you have to get really good at teaching people to fall in love with the process and not just the outcome.
I'm interested on a parent's perspective, so I'm going to lean on the 2 parents that we have on the panel here today, and we'll start with Rob. Obviously, from a winning perspective, you want to see your kid win. You want to see him happy, and happy brings joy. But talk about the where you're at as a parent of having a coach teach expectations and really, I don't want to say this, it's going to come off wrong, teaching how to lose and deal with loss, I think, is just as important sometimes, because life is like baseball, man. If you're successful 30% of the time, that's a Hall of Fame life. Where are you at as a parent and trusting your coaches to teach your kids how to lose?
I've actually always been team coach, no matter what. I used to tell my sons it's pretty simple, and especially with Little League football. God, I mean, you see the I can imagine the soccer games and the parents of 5-year-olds going crazy on the field. I was loud, but I wasn't, I was never, ever one of those parents that started, bitching up a storm my kid wasn't playing. I used to tell both my kids this. If you want to play, then go to practice and have the best practice you can every single day. Get better at your position. If you want to play during Saturdays or Sundays, you'll play if you're good. If you're not going to play as much. So I'm not about to go to the coach and say anything. This is all on you. Now, if it's extreme or if, the coach is, I don't know, let's just say, that bad or whatever, I'll have no issues talking to the coach. But I've always first been team coach because, again, like I was saying earlier, think about it at that age too. First of all, they're not getting paid. They're volunteering their time to at least try and, make your kid better at a sport. And for parents to come down on them the way they do, especially for that fact alone, that these people are volunteering their time. And I used to tell parents, if you want, you come over here and you do this, and we'll see how long that lasts for you. So I look at it this way. In other words, just to wrap it up, you have to give, in my opinion, you have to give coaches, especially younger athletes, the benefit of the doubt and see what's going on before you start yelling and screaming for no reason.
Tony, same question to you. Talk about your expectations on the coaches that your kids have. You've got a young one that's had a game last night, and these coaches a lot of times are that other voice that the kids don't get to hear inside the house. They're leaders. So your expectation on the leadership of your student athlete at home.
Well, the first thing she's going to do is respect her coaches. That's rule number one, and she does for as hard as she works and everything else. She realizes that she has to be the ultimate teammate. You can't sit there and worry about, hey, you know what? She didn't score a single point last night. Marlington did a heck of a job on her, and she was limited to maybe 3 attempts, for shooting. But my God, she got after it and led by example. And that's the thing too. Like you've got to teach the respect, and you have to teach that hard work and leading by example is where it's at. And you have to understand that I was a coach for the last 10 years, and I know my philosophy is different than her current coach, but I have to respect what he's doing and what he's trying to do, and she does as well, and she tells me all the time, like, hey, this is what he wants us to do. Like there's plenty of times where I'll go back and forth with her and be like, really, you really should be doing this? She's like, that's what he wants us to do. We're going to work hard and do our best at that, and I love that about her. She's not even 16 years old yet, and she already has that quality about her. EB can attest to it. She plays for him in the summer. So it's just, you want to, I see it both ways as the parent and the coach, because, I always wanted parents to be upfront with me. I always wanted them to come up to me and hey, if you have an issue, let's talk about it. Don't sit there and talk to somebody else about it, because it's never going to get accomplished. Nothing's going to get accomplished that way, and you shouldn't always, as a coach, you shouldn't always expect the respect unless you're actually being, that person that goes up and does the things that they say they're going to do and gets those kids, learning. So.
I love it, man. Great conversation today, boys. A little bit different than the usual, and obviously one of those that needs to happen more often, so parents and coaches and student athletes alike can understand where everybody's coming from. Because I think, CJ, out of everything that was said today, and not to take anything away from anybody, you nailed it when you said communication is the key to everything. And that starts.
More people have to hear this too. That's a key thing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And I don't understand why there's not more discussions about this, because to me it's always finger pointing. It's the media, it's the coaches, it's the student athlete, it's the school board, it's the superintendent. Like, if there was just conversation between everybody, then everything would be fine. And I understand that there's not enough time in the day necessarily to do that. But there's also some common sense that comes with it too. Like Rob, you said it. If you want to coach, go grab a whistle. They're accepting volunteers every day. All you have to do is go ask the coach. He'd be happy to have a stat guy, I'm sure, or she'd be happy to have a stat person or somebody else. Volunteers are always welcome. Most of the time, welcome on, as long as you're not going the other way, rowing the boat the other way. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over in North Lima. Joe Dickey Electric, anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, you need to go to the official electrical supplier of your sports network, Joe Dickey Electric. Visit them on the web, DickeyElectric.com. Let's go with CJ. Why don't you lead us off today, my friend?
So, positive and I guess negative in the same boat, you could say. Yesterday, we had our first meeting with our players at Beaver for winter workouts. We're going to be starting that up next week. So very excited about that. So positive. Negative in the same regard, because when we went through like our expectations for players and we got to the grades, and God, we just argue with students all the time about grades. And if you're on the grade list, we have a policy. Basically, if you're on the grade list, you're out for the week. If you're on it twice, you're gone. That's kind of how it is. At the end of the day, you're a student athlete. You're a student athlete, student first. Your grades they matter, period. Whether you think they do or not. And if you're struggling, listen, there's people everywhere that'll help you out. Like your teachers aren't there to hurt you. They want you to succeed. So if you're struggling, if you're a student athlete struggling, talk to your teachers, counselors, your coaches. They're there for you. And that's we went back and forth with our players yesterday, and basically I just said, screw it. It doesn't matter. It's my decision.
Well played, sir. Quinn, what do you have?
Positive and negative. I'll start with the negative. The Biletnikoff Award finalists were named, and there's not a single Ohio State guy on there, and that to me is an absolute joke. So I guess that's a negative. Good for them, though. I mean, good for the three that are on there, I guess, but Ohio State's better, so whatever. Positive. Actually, I didn't expect Eric to be on today. My positive was congrats on your win last night, buddy. First one as a JV coach and everything like that. Congrats. And 37 overs is absurd in my mind.
I don't win the games. The girls do, man. I just stand there and clap my hands.
Oh, Mr. Humble Pie over here.
Yeah, exactly. What is that, apple or cherry? My goodness.
It's called Dubs. That's what it is.
Dub pie. I like it. Why don't you go, EB?
Positive, dude. Last night, having fans back is absolutely awesome. Like, Howland student section was awesome. I mean, they were up the whole time. I'm not sure where they got the little chop going, like the little Seminole chop, but didn't make sense to me with the Tigers. But hey, it worked.
You've never heard of the Tiger chop?
It's a Tiger chop, but it was awesome. I mean, they were up there loud. Their fans were into it. Our fans were into it. It was an awesome game. Like the student athletes now are athletes. You could tell once it took them about a quarter to really get used to that noise and just that energy again. But damn, man, that was awesome. Just to have crowds back and that type of energy back into the gym was awesome.
Rob?
Actually, I wanted to reiterate on my boy Kelly Pavlik we were talking about earlier, and just to wrap it up as fast as I can, explain what we were talking about. Let's just I can't go into detail on this show, of course, but let's just say the summer of 2004, every other day, we're just gonna say we were the epitome of knuckleheads, and there's a lot of stories. But anyways, one of the best nights of my life was watching him, knock out Taylor. And the joy that he brought this community alone, he could have got away with almost anything in my eyes. So he wins the championship, comes back, and to keep in mind, he was hanging around with those crazy ass Southside boys, so he almost didn't stand a chance because the shitstorms were coming. But he made some mistakes, and he got a lot of slack. He got a lot of flack for that. And here's what I'll say about that: Kelly cleaned up pretty damn good, and to anybody that's hating on this cab right now, let me tell you something right now. I guarantee you that Kelly Pavlik is doing way more for all these kids in this area alone than you could ever even attempt. So just so everybody knows, the dude is exactly where he should be right now. And hey, we still love you, Kelly.
We all love you, Kelly. And one of these days, he's going to be on this show. I'm telling you, he owes me big time. We'll get him on here. We'll get him on here. He'll have a good time with it. He's about as mature as an 11-year-old, but we'll make sure we keep him under wraps.
Being kind.
Yeah,
Come on.
Exactly. Donnie, what's your spark, brother?
My spark is we're getting a lot closer to the game. I'm getting more and more excited, more and more pumped up. I mean, they're up north right now, and for some stupid reason. And my negative spark would definitely be that game is 4 days away still. So, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a great week of high school football as well, and basketball. Like, there's nothing better than this time of year to me is college basketball's wrapping, or college football's wrapping up, starting to wrap up, and basketball's kicking off. So it's just fun to be a fan of the games. So yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly with Rob about Kelly. I mean, Kelly and I talk probably every other day about something different, and he's so on board with the youth of this community. So, and my dog Milo is telling me to shut up. So go ahead.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me. This is that time of year where, if you're not a D1 athlete, you're nobody. And I couldn't disagree with that anymore. I mean, sports is sports, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, listen, I went to Westminster. I played baseball, and because I love the game. Did I want to be a professional baseball player? Absolutely. But at some point, you just like going out and playing with your friends, as long as you can. I'm tired of the negative parents and pundits out there that, this kid isn't tall enough. This kid isn't good enough. He doesn't throw the ball. He doesn't spin it. This kid's, listen, man, not everybody is made to be a Division I athlete, and not everybody is cut from the same cloth. And the last time I checked, most of the people that are saying that somebody's not a Division I athlete was never a Division I athlete, so they don't understand what goes into it. Also, on the other side, parents, just because you spend $5,000 on lessons of whatnot does not mean that your kid is going to be a Division I athlete and make thousands of dollars in scholarships and have the NIL and all that stuff. Listen, again, this is it's life, right? It's what happens to you. You put the work in, you will get the output as well, most of the time. But life also has a funny way of knocking you down to your knees where you have to stand back up yourself. You can't be picked up, can't be dragged by your parents. And coaches see that too. If kid doesn't want to go to a workout, is he really going to want to go to swimming, even though he's a baseball player at 4 a.m. in the morning because that's the only time they can get pool time? Get with it. Parents, coaches, all this stuff. Like, not everybody has to be a D1 athlete to be successful in their own life. That is my PSA, Rob, for the day. So that is also going to do that Power Hour here on this Tuesday. Join us tomorrow. Very special one. Well, it'll be a Thanksgiving edition of the YSN Power Hour and the last one for the week. So, gentlemen, until next time, we will see you on the flip side tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on your Sports Network.